everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Micheline, and today I'm going to be sharing with you one of the first things I do whenever I start a new project, and that is I'm going to show you how I trace off all of my patterns. I trace off all of my patterns because I make mistakes. I make lots and lots of mistakes, and I am okay with making those mistakes because that's how I learn. And I know there's a lot of debate on whether or not to trace patterns. Why? Especially if you can find one on sale at Joann's, for example. You can get a pattern for $1.99 or $2.99, whatever the sale is, and then you can just buy multiples. However, fitting is one of those things that I am not an expert in. I am learning how to fit my body, which is the whole point of this channel, and Needle and Curves, which is to make clothes that fit my body. And so in doing that, I have to sew a pattern multiple times before I figure out exactly what the fit is, or at least what's going to look right on me. So I'll give you an example. I am currently working on my very first pair of pants, and I chose to use McCall's 7415, which is this pattern right here. And I started working on it over on Friday. Today is now Monday, and I ordinarily, for dresses, I cut a size 20 and do a full bust adjustment, and that takes me up to a size 22 in the bust and throughout the rest of the garment, and that's fine. However, my hips, which are 44 inches, if I look on this pattern, it says that puts me in a size 20, which is the size that I ordinarily cut. However, I cut that size 20 and I traced off the pattern initially, and this is a size 20 and it's the full length pattern, and lo and behold, size 20 does not fit all that well. I made several samples over the weekend trying to manipulate the size 20, and it just did not work well for me. So I cut the size 20 and I tried my best to make that work, and it just didn't work. So I decided to cut the size 22 and see how that worked. Sure enough, the size 22 worked better, and so had I cut the pattern straight away, I would not be able to go back to it right away in order to make my next garment. So a couple of things that I did. So this pattern has both long wide leg pants, shorts, and straight leg pants. And to get myself situated, I initially traced off the shorts. After I realized that I traced off the shorts after I traced off the full length pattern in the size 22. So these shorts here, this pattern is actually the third version, I think. And so I now have the fit that I want. I figured out what I need to do to make these pants fit. And so I decided, since I'm now ready to trace off the full length pattern, because the first one I did is not going to be any good to me anymore, I decided that I'd share that process with you. And so that is what we're going to do today. We're going to trace off a pattern, and I'll show you how I do this very, very quickly, very efficiently. So I'm going to get everything situated, and I'll show you what I do. So before we get started, I will show you all of the things that I use in order to get this process to work. The first thing you need is the pattern. So my pattern is still fully intact, as I said before. It's now a little bit wrinkled because I've traced it off several times already, but nothing that I need to do anything about. So I've got my pattern. I have tracing paper, which is medical exam paper that I use. I buy from Amazon. I will provide a link to this product below. I buy this stuff, and I buy it, I don't know, it lasts me a good, I don't know, maybe 4 to 6 months, depending on how much I trace off and how big the pattern pieces are. Wax paper. So this strip of paper actually comes on, I bought this in this very large roll. I don't even know how long this thing is, but what I do when I buy it is I cut off a strip of about 2 inches long each time, and I use that 2 inches for as long as I possibly can, and then keep the rest of it intact. So now this, I probably will have this roll of red wax paper, tracing paper, for years because of the way I use it. You can use it in the whole sheet, but it becomes a little bit unwieldy, so I don't bother. So I've got my wax paper here. I also have a tracing wheel, a pencil or pen. I actually am going to use both. I'm afraid this pencil might be on this last leg for lead, so we'll see how long it lasts. And for the holes, I have a recycled piece of priority mail cardboard, and I poke holes in this, so I will show you how that works here in a second. So let's get started. I'm going to stick this up here for now. So as I mentioned, or may not have mentioned, I am making view B of this pattern, which is the wide leg pants. So I have to trace off this entire pattern piece. Fortunately, it's only you only have to trace off one piece because it's cut 2. So we'll get started with that. So the first thing that I do is I lay the pattern on the table, and I determine how much, that helps me determine how wide of tracing paper I need. And since the width of this pattern paper, let's see, I think it's best if I go long ways. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay the paper out. It doesn't really matter where I do it. See how much I need. And then I cut this baby. I use a rotary cutter to cut it. And then I do that again. Next, we tape the 2 pieces together, overlapping them. I don't know, I overlap it by about 1 inch, and I tape it. Tape is perhaps the unsung hero of the sewing room, I think. I'm watching out for this corner right here. Alright, minimal taping job, but I'll fix more of that later. So now that I have it all taped, I'm going to put the paper on the bottom and put the tissue on top. Alright, so to make sure that none of this moves, I'm actually going to pin it. For the pinning, I pin in areas that will allow me to easily thread the tracing paper onto the pattern, and I pin it instead of using pattern weights because the paper is bigger than my table, and I can literally move it all over the place and it won't make any distortions at all. Everything will stay exactly as they are. So I can move this around on my table. So here we go. You can use a ruler if you want for the straight sections. I like to because I make sure that everything is, I don't go off course. So look at that. I don't know if you can see. I'm going to pull the camera a little closer. So do you see right there how easily you can see that line? So pull from the other side. Oh. There we go. And the line's there. I used to, depending on the size of the pattern, I would put the pattern up against window so I can use the window as light, and that works really well for small patterns, but it does not work really well for large patterns like this one. So I'm going to continue doing this all the way around. It's just like tracing. It's kind of cool. Well, it is just tracing. It's not like tracing, it's actual tracing. So here I am at the waistline, going straight across. So when I traced off, oops, I veered off course. Bring back the ruler. When I traced off this pattern earlier, I realized that I need to make the dart smaller. So here I am. Here's the original dart line right here. And I'm going to trace off the new dart without changing the pattern itself. Here we go, that one. That one. And then my matching points. So for this center line here, which is the green line, I just literally thread the paper through the two layers like that, set up my ruler, and go to town. Making sure I watch my head. Then I'll walk to the back. Thread it back the other way around and finish off the line. I'm going to finish off the rest of the pattern and show you what it looks like when I'm done. Here we are at the moment of truth. I'm going to remove all of the paper, remove the pattern paper from the trace version and see how I did. As I do this, I check to make sure I have all of my markings before I remove the paper completely. Especially your dots. And your notches. So there it is. It's completely traced off. I can see all of the lines. I do see here that I didn't move the pattern piece all the way over, and so the front of it is missing like 1/8 of an inch, which is easy. I'll just cut a piece of tissue paper from one end and put it there and make sure that line is 100%. But other than that, everything is here. The entire pattern has been transferred for the view that I'm working on, and the original tissue is still in its form. I like doing this so that I have room to make mistakes, and I can fix those mistakes before and I can go back to the pattern, because as we all know, those of us who sew, patterns get discontinued all the time, and you can't always go back to the store and purchase a pattern that you've been working on or that you've made a mistake on and you just cannot fix. I now have a pattern that I can work on and make mistakes on and write on and make adjustments on, and if something goes wrong, I can go back to this piece and everything is all good. I can do this over and over. So what I'm going to do now is fold, make sure I have all of the information that's written on the pattern. I'm going to write all of that on the tissue paper on my traced pattern, and then I'm going to put this away and then go back to it should I need to. But for all of the work for my pants that I'm going to be working on, I'm going to be using this pattern. And let me show you what I'm going to be making these pants out of. I'm going to be making them out of this crepe, this blue crepe fabric. So yes, this is what I'm going to be making these pants out of. It's kind of a wild fabric, but that's okay. It's interesting. And so I got it from Joann's, I don't know, maybe a year or two ago. But this is what I'm going to be making these pants out of, and so hopefully I will have a video for you guys on the making of these pants. But for now, thank you for watching. Again, my name is Micheline. This is Needle and Curves, and all details about what I use for this pattern, all of the notions that I use to trace off this pattern, I will do my best to link them in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.